even though it's kind of crazy, but it's doable because at the end it's 2 rooms. That's all I need. 2 rooms, actors, and a lot of blood. So that's definitely doable.
That's the pitch.
Yeah.
When you go into the pitch meeting, there's gonna be
2 rooms,
actors,
a lot of blood. Yeah.
That's it. Make my movie. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Second Year Run podcast. I am your host, Wyatt Mason, and today I have a very special guest with me. His name is Thomson. We were in the same set together last year, in our first year. We didn't work on too many things. I don't think so. I don't really remember any group projects or anything. Do you?
Surprisingly, no. I don't think we work on anything.
No.
Do we?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, surprisingly, I don't think we work on anything together.
I think we just worked on a couple of set things, a short film that we worked separately from school last year, and then just another little production you had me helping out on too.
Yeah, right, the Joker one, yeah.
Yeah, but not the Joker, but something a little more
fan-filmy. It's a scene recreation,
filmy.
Basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
An actual scene recreation.
Mm-hmm. That was fun too because there was some fight choreography that was going on. There's some special doing quote unquote special effects of having a guy having to fall backwards and after getting stabbed in the eye. It was really
it was quite intense. I didn't realize it's gonna be that intense. So that was pretty fun. And then with our friend, with my friend Jennifer and Brandon, they're just a amazing husband and wife duel.
Yeah, and they were the stunt guys.
They're union stunts. Congratulations to Brandon. I know you're not gonna hear this, but Brendan got into our union here now because he was U.S. union before, and then but he came over, so he has to reapply for the Canadian union. But
that makes sense.
Pretty sure he got in. But yeah.
Are you messing around with any unions? We've been hearing a lot of talk at school. Almost every Friday, there's some union being mentioned that you can or cannot sign up for. But are you gonna try to go for any of them? I might just go for the camera one, just for the set work.
For me, I'm more into location sound, and for location sound, it isn't as easy, I think, just because the way how sound people operates are quite different. So I think I need to, for me at least, I'm not gonna go into union right away. I'm gonna test my waters in indie worlds and see if I can make money in indie worlds. Because if I can really make money just doing indie stuff, I'm probably not gonna go into union. Just because union have regulations and rules. Not saying that they're bad. They're so they can ensure your pay and stuff. But non-union people are just freer, and then I'm not gonna say nicer because I met a lot of quite some nice union people, but I also met people who are just quite strict about it, and then
I think it's all just a workflow thing. Honestly,
it truly is. I think they're used to this protocols, and then when it's break, they're not used to it or they're not comfortable with it.
Especially too when we're living in such a easy era for content creation, let alone filmmaking. But it's just so easy for someone to buy the necessary equipment and start doing them themselves. Yeah. Not even just in a sound sort of landscape, but just film production in general.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to come by. So I think now you're having all these people who are like us going to film school. And trying to learn more proper ways of the over-under technique for coiling cables and learning that. Yeah. But then you still have the very indie side of things where people are just learning how to do it themselves, not necessarily getting that same industry training, but are still competent and able to get the work done using their own methods.
I mean, hey, even our training here isn't perfect, so I would say you're spot on about that. A lot of people are just learning by themselves, which is good. It was great. That means they have the drive, they have the passion, but sometimes having the system going to a school is a good thing. Mm-hmm. There are so many things that I learned, and then I'll be talking to my friend who's a guy who's self-taught, and then you will realize that even though they might be expert in certain fields, but other fields they are just totally not aware at all. They know nothing about it. Yeah. And so there are things that you might think is common knowledge. To them, it's a brand new world. For them, they're like, "What are you talking about? This is insane. What? I have to do it this way." I got hired to do this show, but there's some conflicts there just because over fees. He's paying me too low, and I'm telling him that for sound mixer for this there are different rates for a sound assistant and sound mixer because they're different jobs. Because usually for sound assistant, you don't really get to bring any gear. You just there and then you use sound mixer's gear. But when you become sound mixer, that means you have to bring your own kit. So with kit, it comes with key fee or like rental fees. So it doesn't really make sense for you to pay me the same. But yeah, but we worked that out, and then that was pretty good. But I signed NDA on that one, so I couldn't talk too much about it. But yeah, but it's I feel like for especially for film crew, it is a constant struggle where you have to negotiate your rates. So that's where the union comes in, where union have that reassurance that okay, there is the lowest rate that I can go. But if you do indies, it's really up to you, where you have to negotiate every rate, and then you have to find your own job, even though once you get into union, it's the same thing. But at least you have that option to do union works.
And you've done a lot of like set work before you even come to the school. Like you were not quite as deep as you are into the world of sound as you are now. But I remember in first year you were still talking about like wanting to get into it, and you seem to be more of a camera guy.
Yeah.
What was that like kind of transition? What stuff were you doing on set?
So when I first started, the first ever short film I worked on with my friend, which won Leo this year, I was actually a first AD.
Oh wow!
Which is really funny.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was happening, but I still kind of managed the schedule in a way, and I helped a lot on that one because that one was a very low budget shoot, so everyone's wearing all the hats. Like I was doing first AD, but I also helped record the sound, and then I also help a lot of things. We're just trying to help out. I pitched in a little bit, so that's why I won that award, just because I was co-producing it. But of course, the main guy is still Hugh Liu. That was his vision. We're there to support him, and I'm glad that he won that award and then he got that recognition. But when I first started, I was the first AD for that one shoot only, and after that, I realized, oh my god, hated first AD. Amazing people, hard job, not for me. So I start looking, and then it's all just because of friends, really. It's like I know I want to do film, but I don't know how to get in. I don't know which part to get in. So I'm just using my friend as reference, and then they kept wanting to shoot different stuff, shoot this, shoot that, and then we're always lacking camera. So I ended up bought my own camera, and then from there I look into like I'm a guy who likes to buy gear and look into the gear. So if I get a gear, I will know inside out of the gear. I will watch all the videos I can watch. I will find all the information I can find for me to know, because I don't want to go into something unprepared. So I like to look into it. I like to know, okay, if I got my FX30, that means I can record this, I can record that. Okay, this car is not fast enough for me to do SDI 4K. This car is. So if I have to do the best quality, if I want to do true 24 frames, I have to get all this stuff. So I like to figure stuff out. Building your own camera, your own rig is like building the computer in many ways.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
basically.
It's
As
like, someone who's built his computer. Yeah,
like what works, what doesn't, and then it's all quite different for different people because you have different needs. But basically, I got my camera, and from there, I'm like, oh, okay, let me look into camera. Oh, I know how to record this. I know how to frame this. I know how to do white balance. I know what's the ISO setting on this. I know what's the base ISO on this camera, on that camera. What's the difference between, let's say, shooting on the Red and the Ari, or like on the Venice? Like, why would you use different cameras? What's the difference? Or like, why are they have different format, and why do they function differently? I like to look into those things, and I'm going deeper and deeper into this camera world. And then eventually, I went on, just because of friend, I went on many Emily Carr student film set, and then they were like, "Oh, we need a first AC." And the first question I asked them was, "What's the first AC?" And they're like, "Oh, you do this." I'm like, "Oh, you have this focus thing? It's really cool. I can do it." It's called Fizz, by the way, but focus, iris, zoom. But I'm like, "Oh, it's very cool. Let me try it out." So that's how I started. And then I was just doing first AC work for student film, to realize I don't like first AC work. Because first AC work were hard. I'm not saying sound is not hard. I'm just saying they're difficult in different ways. And for me, I understand sound way better than I understand camera. And also the competitions are so fierce. Like, I started to get to know more and more friends, more and more people who wanted to do film, and who's kind of just started it, who's in indie world. And then everywhere I look, it's all camera people. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a DOP. What do you do? Oh, I'm a cam op. I'm cam op. First AC, first AC. And then I think to myself, what's the way for me to help my friend, support my friend, and also enjoy my position, and I can get something out of it, and I can be part of the film industry. And I realized it's sound, because my friend, none of them care about sound. So suddenly I find myself looking into sound, and then I also happened to did a boom up sound recording on one of the family car student film, and I get to touch some of the fancy gear, not fancy but very basic gear. But I'm like, oh wow, this is pretty fun. I can do this. So I look into it more and more and more, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do sound, because sound is something my friend don't know. So I can, if me being there can fill that gap, that means within ourselves we can have a crew. We don't need to, spend time to look for people that might not be
it or whatever.
compatible. We can just do this on our own. So that's how I started. So from there, I just slowly to rebrand myself and keep telling people, oh, I want to do sound assistant. I want to do boom up. Not that I don't want to do sound mixer. It just, sound mixer isn't something you can just become.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that comes with years, just like colorist in a way.
Or even like camera op takes a while. DOP takes a while to get to.
Like
you have to get that knowledge and the skill set.
Call yourself that, but if you don't have the ability to carry it, eventually people are gonna figure out like, oh wait, he doesn't know shit.
This guy's a fraud. What the fuck? Yeah.
And then they're not gonna get you. So I always say, oh, I'm a sound assistant. I'm a boom op. I'm working towards doing sound mixer. So
keeps you humble in a way too. Yeah.
So it's about trying to work with different sound mixer, and then trying to learn from them, and then also learn their gear, because their gear is better than yours. No matter how much you invest in your gear, if you cannot get the client that's appropriate to the gear, there's no point, because you're gonna owe that money. You're not gonna get that money back, because let's say right now my clientele can only pay for my kit fee, right? And my kit fee is like $250. If your gear is over that, like let's say if your gear, based on your gear, your kit fee should be like $450, and they can only pay you $250, then you got no clientele. Then there's no point of you owning that gear, because you cannot pay it back. Then you have a downside. So
even though it's better quality and maybe more quote unquote top of the line, the actual needs.
But they won't understand it.
Sure.
For them, that's all they can afford. They just can't get someone else. They're not gonna get you. So for me, it's about building more connection with my basic kit, and then getting to know people who has more money, or who wants that better quality, who wants better gear, and I'll grow with them, and eventually I'll have really great gear with really good clients. Yeah.
It sounds a lot like, with like freelance photography, you're doing a lot of self-promotion and really pushing yourself out there.
Yeah.
And at least with photography, it is visual.
Yeah.
You can like look at someone's portfolio and just look at it and still appreciate the artistry and beauty that's in with the picture.
Yeah.
But with sound, it's so much harder, because it's all audio. You really have to listen.
Yeah.
Because for sure, bad audio is bad audio. You're going to notice that right away.
Yeah.
But sometimes the difference between good audio and very good audio,
it's hard to differentiate. Yes.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially too when we live in such a streaming world.
Yeah.
Because just through like file compression,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like people are so used to listening to things in a certain way that when you realize that like, oh, I'm not hearing anything? What do you mean? That's impossible. How can I not be hearing everything, right? So I just think that's really interesting. Freelancing with sound is like, it's like its own business and industry on its own, it seems like.
Yeah, for sure. But I would say that sound person definitely make money if they get paid accordingly, like for production, because a production might be volunteer based, but they might still pay sound, just because for sound person to do volunteer, it's sometimes quite offensive, I think, because they have the pressure of owning all the gear that they have to do their jobs.
And doing all of the work too, when maybe they have like a camera team, but like I've seen sets where it's like the boom op and the recordist and the mixer is all one guy.
You're just doing solo work. You're doing the back work, so you're all by yourself. You have no support. You have to troubleshoot everything yourself. And also, it's like, what would you ever get a makeup artist and be like, hey, by the way, I'm not paying you kit fee. You just have to use that on your own. It's the same thing with sound, because they will have budget to rent cameras, but you won't have budget to rent audio equipment. They're like, oh, but it's your personal gear. Well, it is, because I couldn't rent one, because that's not really a thing,
Yeah, I had to buy it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. The money has to come from somewhere, man.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most valuable thing you've learned at school, like just from doing this set work before? Do you feel like you got more experience while doing the job? Do you think you've gotten more experience while doing here? You mentioned that you like that it's kind of all encompassing. We're not learning just one specific thing about cameras. We're learning everything.
I would say the funny thing is, I would say the BCIT schoolworks are helpful and not helpful in some way because they give you a broad understanding of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means they cannot specify. And we don't really get to pick our courses, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Like if you really just so new to the game, you don't know what to do, this is a great course for you. But once you become very specialized in certain things, like for me, I want to do location sound. Like that's my main point. Not even post-sense, location sound. I want to learn very specialized things about those things. We don't really have the resources to teach. They don't have the resources to teach us here, and that's something I feel quite disappointing about. But I also understand because it's a school, so it's about generalized study. It's about giving everyone the same knowledge that you're supposed to learn. So I learned quite a lot actually. I learned all the sensor technology thing. I learned quite some things about camera, not as much about sound just because I was looking into it on my own, so I learned a lot more on YouTube than here. But when it comes to technology, especially from Mike Moss' class, it really gives you a lot of info that you can use it for small talk. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I learned all that so I can go on set and talk and chat with the camera guy.
I can actually totally agree with that too, because it's giving you like the jargon, like the industry terms of like what to look for and what to actually understand.
Yeah.
And I think that in a way is more important than the straight learning how to point in camera and press the record button.
Yeah.
Or proper lav placement is actually like pretty critical.
Oh, it's very important.
Yeah.
And that's something we didn't touch on, but that's also kind of about lack of resource, just because I remember when we were doing back credits and I was boom upping for Angela, and Angela was like, okay, so how do we hide the laugh? Are we going to do gaff tape? And then I look at her and I said, no one ever does gaff tape. But that's how we learn it here, because that's we're using what we have and then doing the best we can. But usually people on set, even the worst one, they have moleskin, they have some sort of medical tape or whatever, so it's not that hard on the actors. But usually you have expendables. Like me, I bought tons of expendables, probably at least spent like $500 or something on it. But expendable is something that help you do your job. First, well. Secondly, fast. If you do, let's say, even gaff tape, or you do like those medical tape things, it will take you a while to adjust to figure out a way so it won't be noisy. You won't have that clothes rustling and stuff. But if you have the expandable, it's 30 seconds, because you know it will work. You know this plus this on skin, 100% work, just because they're made for laving. So a lot of times for sound mixer or for sound professional, the reason why their kit get more and more expensive, it's not because they're getting better stuff, if that makes sense. It's about having options.
Right, yeah.
It's about having different options, for having all the options for all sorts of scenarios. Like when you first started, you have one microphone. And then after a while, you realize, oh, wait, I have this long shotgun microphone. It doesn't really work indoors. Let me get an indoor microphone. And then from there, you're like, oh, wait, I need an MS microphone. So I need something that can do it. So you buy another MS microphone. It's all about providing options to your client, so you can be like, hey, I'm ready for anything. Anything is fine, but I'm going to be more expensive because I'm ready for anything. But sometimes if you don't have it, you can always build the production and be like, hey, I don't have it. I'll bill you. I'll get it. You guys can use it. And then eventually I'm going to own it. But
especially when you talk about the expendables too, because it's literally like not like you buy a microphone and you can use that microphone
forever. You can use it for like 20 years probably.
But if you end up using a whole bunch of like the moss skin, it was called?
The stickies, all the stuff like the freaking foam, or like all sorts of laving concealers, all that thing. All those things gonna break. That's why I think the most expensive thing is the expendables, because you use it, they're gone,
and that's it.
I have to rebuy it again. And then some of them are not that easy to buy, because they're like European or something, and you're like, I need to wait 2 weeks till they arrive, So it's about,
like all specialized.
So you're just always buying it and then waiting for it to arrive, waiting for it to arrive. But hardware-wise, a lot of times it's about for audio at least is about more options. Kind of same with the camera where you can still get the job done with a minimal camera, but if you have a better camera, you have more options. You get to do RAW, you get to do all this color profile, you get to have better lens, you get to do all this stuff. You know, you got to have your aperture way open, or you know, or the focus here are at the same place. That means you change the lens and then you can just refocus it. You don't have to change much. It's about efficiency, it's about reliability, and then it's about speed. So yeah, I don't know. Okay. I think for sound, I'm just started. I just started, but for a beginning kid, I think my kid is pretty good. Yeah.
I think another important thing from the school that's been teaching us is like just learning how to work in teams.
Yeah.
Because I've just worked retail the past 5 years, and before that, I did like 6 months working in a kitchen.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of used to working with like a similar group of people, day in, day out, coming in every day and seeing them. But I think maybe just to some people that hasn't been like the same chance that they've had being in that team environment, especially because there's some people in our year who were in first year were pretty fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
So you're not even really much chance of being kind of like quote unquote on your own.
Yeah.
And I think that's been crucial here. It's been a bit of a meme about organizational behavior, Org B. Yeah. But legitimately, I think that class, if it was just taught slightly better, is like crucial. It's like so important because I do think the teamwork, not just networking, but just the straight up teamwork and interacting with people who are not like you and your family and your friends, but forcing to be like working with them. I think that's been a great thing.
Teamwork definitely matters a lot because teamwork is what leads to networking.
Right.
Because if they don't like you, they're not gonna call you back. They're not gonna be your friends. They're not gonna ask for your contact at the end of the day. So yeah, being able to know how to work within teams are super important, especially for film production, I think.
And under a lot of stress too, because especially in that first year, they do kind of throw a lot of assignments at you. And now we're like able to take like we still feel a lot of pressure right now in second year in this current week, but like we're also able to breathe a little bit. We're not being so overworked, but we've already been through that stress. We know what we can handle. We know maybe what we can't, and I think that's also important to learn too.
I remember, I think probably last turn, I was worried that I wouldn't be able to pass one of the course, just because I was doing so much outside stuff, so I didn't really have time to look at some of the stuff. So I'm like, oh shit, I think I might fail this, and then turns out fine. That's all that matters. But there was a scare there. Just because.
So you'll make it if you're doing it right now. If you're listening to this in your first year, you'll make it.
I mean, I think the advice is always go outside. Don't just stay in school. Don't just think, oh, this is enough. It's never enough, because school, it's about assignments, it's about deadlines. It's not really about creative freedom. And then you don't get to meet different people. And also, it's good to have to start your network early. If you think, oh, I'm gonna graduate it from school and then I'm gonna start networking, you're already too late, because there are so many people out there that's still in school. They're already on set all the time they can, and that's the grind you need to do. You need to grind it out. You need to have that thing. So when you graduate, you're like, oh, I have all these friends I can ask about job. I'm like, oh, I'm just graduated. Is it possible? Do you have any gigs for me? It's about building that connection. And for me, it took me like a year and a half to finally have it into fruition, like where you like slowly getting paid work. Because otherwise, the first year, it was just all volunteer. It would just people ask me, am I free? I said yes. I go there and then I do like a 12-hour, 13-hour day, maybe 14 hours, and then you go home. And that was great. You have to love it. You have to love the set. If you don't love the set, set's not gonna love you. Like you're gonna go to even worse set and you're gonna be like, oh, I can't handle this, I can't handle that. But yeah, every set have its difficulty. So it's about overcome it, and then it's also about how to just live with it. Like there are things that just happen, and then you're like, oh well, that happened. Okay, move on. You know,
you can't dwell on it.
No.
On to the next shot.
Yeah. Like there are times that I also dwell on myself, like where I'm like, oh, I could have boomed way better. I could have get way closer. I could have done that. I could have did this. And I'll keep asking the sound mix. I was like, what do you think of that take? Do you think it sound good? Do you think I should have been closer? And then the sound mix I've been working with a lot more recently, he was like, it's fine. We got it. The most important thing is we got it. and then it sounds okay. It sounds great. All right. So he will also like when he see me booming from a certain side, he will be like, I think that's how I'll be better because you get that. So it's a lot of learning. That's the thing about on-set work. That's why I also say go out there is because when you go on set, you're forced to learn. You're not sitting around to learn. You're forced to learn because if you don't know it, you're fucked because they need you to use it right away. So I think that environment, if you can handle it, it's a great place to learn. And I think because of that, there are certain part of the score I don't enjoy as much as before, just because they become old news. And when I look at it, I'm like, I know all this. Is there more I can add? Is there more? Like, I know people might find me annoying because I ask really, really weird questions in class. I would ask very, very specific question because I do want to get the most out of the score. But I don't want to learn about the stuff I already know. So I ask very, very specific stuff that no one even gets, but the teacher I get my answer, and then that's all that matters.
And you're the one that's spending the money too.
Yeah.
Everyone else is spending it, but you're choosing. Yeah, it makes sense. And they're really open just to whatever question you have. That if they maybe don't know the answer, they'll try to like kind of work through it and maybe deduct the reason why. Because sometimes that's what it is too, right? It's a little too nebulous.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And then how do you kind of go from there? I think that happened a couple of times in the first year with the Mike Moss class, where it was like media tech fundamentals.
Yeah.
So it is trying to just learn the basics and making sure you're understanding. So that way that knowledge you're building on, you can then go towards the set work, especially at that phase too.
Mike Moss class is amazing. I learned so much, and then because of Mike Moss, I get to make so much small talks on set. I get to chat with my friend. I would get to talk about barrier layering with him, and then he's like, "Why the fuck do you know this?" I'm like, "Oh wow, Mike Moss, it's really good. We're learning sensor technology." And then he's like, "Well, but you don't need this to go on set." I'm like, "I don't care." But we're having this conversation, so it works, eh? He's like,
right, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not seeing the point because he does IT. So for him to know it, it makes sense. But for me to know it, it doesn't. But it's good. It's good to have this like smaller, like weird small talk where they're like, oh wow, you know this, nice, you know your stuff. It's about building credibility every time you go on set. And then you get to joke around with them. You get to talk to them in a way that they understand, right?
Right, and they know that you're not bullshitting either. Like they know you're not just trying to put on a face and seem good.
Because you actually know how it works.
Yeah.
It was just I remember I was talking to Sammy Sue, and then he was telling me about how some of the people who just got out of high school, got out of film school, they are still following everything to the T, and they don't know how to be flexible, which is very normal. But he said what one of the AD he saw was reading everything off of a sheet of paper. So he would just be like, okay, be quiet, okay, lock it up, okay, check the gate. And then he will be like, we're shooting digital. There's no what gate. What gate are you trying to check here? Because that's for film. We're shooting digital. Why checking what gate? And then the AD will panic, and the AD will look back to the paper, but it's like, oh, but it said check the gate. It's like, yeah, that paper is from 20 years ago. So a lot of times it's about flexibility. It's about kind of knowing where you are and why those things are like that. You need to know how they work. So next time you can be like, I don't know, you can say check the sensor if that's to your preference.
Yeah, if you're not just trying to use like the phrase just to like as a way to like wrap up, like you know what I mean? Because that'll sometimes still happen. People will say check the gate, and that's like, okay, on to the next shot. Let's move along.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Then
but
the funny thing
when you just don't know what you're talking about.
And the funny thing was a few shoots before, I was on set with my sound mixer. We were shooting on Reflex, so they were actually checking the gate, and I was like, this is the first time I heard it being used correctly. Like, they were actually checking the gate, and there was actually some problem with it, so we had to reshoot.
Oh, well, good thing. Good thing they checked the gate.
Yeah. But I also, and then I think I also take booming differently when it's shooting on film and shooting on digital. When shooting on digital, I become very aggressive. I would keep testing the frame, because I know even if I mess up once or twice, we can reshoot. And I think you have to be aggressive to get good sound, because there are already so many compromises when it comes to doing sound, because sound is always the last to go in a way. So I would say do the best you can, get as close as you want when you're doing boom, until you're like stop, then you know when. But for film, it's like I be careful because they're shooting on film. I'm not gonna risk it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because they're gonna yell at you. They're gonna be like, what are you doing? We're shooting on film. We're literally burning the film here. Like we're burning money, you know. So, yeah.
How many sets have you worked on with the film camera? Because I remember in the first year you mentioned
Very, very little.
Yeah, like one with the Bowflex.
Yeah, I did one on Bowflex,
Sorry.
and then I think I only did two. I think that was it. That was why I was so surprised to see it in Reflex.
Mm-hmm.
But Reflex is different. Reflex was so quiet. Bowflex is loud, but Bowflex is one of the original ones. So
Isn't that like the manual crank too? Yeah. Okay.
Bowflex is the manual crank one, and you only get to shoot like 30 seconds of footage, just because like the motor won't support that long. So after that, you have to rewind it, and I forgot how long you can shoot for. But yeah, but it wasn't long. It was like very, very short time, and then Bowflex is it's not fun.
Not recommended.
We were doing handheld with Bowflex, and there's no stabilization whatsoever. So no matter how much you try to stabilize it, it looks so shaky.
Yeah, no
it's
kidding.
a look, but
yeah, it's for sure a look.
I won't recommend it. I think you probably need some sort of rig for it to be usable to do. You know.
There's a reason we invented digital sensors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and especially too, because the technology's come along far enough that like you could mimic film easier.
Nowadays, there aren't really many reasons to do film.
Yeah, exactly.
Like unless you really want that, you just
authentic.
It's a niche.
Yeah.
It's about it's authentic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you're shooting IMAX.
Sure. Because it has to be an actual
that's
physical
the
projection.
only thing.
Yeah.
I can think of that really makes sense. You're shooting IMAX.
Or if you're doing like like film photography. That makes sense too.
I mean, you mean like a medium format or something? You want that wide?
Yeah, well, that too. I was thinking even just like a regular like 35 format though too.
Yeah.
Like that still makes sense because at least it's like, you know, a roll of 36 is 36 pictures, while roll of 36 in film would be like at 24 frames a second. That's like a minute and a half.
It doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just too.
The math doesn't really work out.
No. But like with photography.
At least it's just one by one by one by one by one.
Exactly. And you can like much like you would like a frame painting or whatever. You could at least create the composition within that one shot and make it look really nice, as opposed to expanding it across. Because like the last real thing that I could think of that was shot on film, legitimately as a thing, was like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Because Vince Gilligan wanted that authentic film, almost like old school Western look to give it to that show, and it works really well.
Yeah.
But then over on Better Call Saul, just shot that totally digital.
Yeah.
And then just used film effects to get like the looks that they needed for like particular scenes, like some
because
flashback
once you go through that
Yeah.
post tunnel, there's so many things you can fake, so many things you can fix.
For sure, yeah. And I
So,
think that's something we even learned here too. Just like seeing some like examples of it, of like actually seeing like what the raw format is, what an S-Log format is, and then just what like a regular whatever like Sony Kodak or whatever is, how that's gonna actually affect the colors.
Yeah.
And once you realize that, you're like, yeah, shit. If you're not even shooting in RAW, shooting in like S-Log even too, just a smaller file size, but you can still manipulate a lot and still do a lot of
course. People
post-grading.
just remember, if you're doing S-Log, get your white balance right, because white balance does not include in S-Log. Okay, S-Log is only for color. If you fucked up your white balance, your S-Log still gonna look like shit because it's not raw. Okay, so make sure.
Exactly.
Exposure, not as important, but still, expose it properly, get the white balance right, and then you can just do a lot of things in post. But yeah,
I'd say the one thing they can't really mimic well is like VHS. Like, you know, like actual, not film, but actual video, like on tapes.
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing with like the displays and the scan lines and how the technology like works.
It's weird, even if you apply effects, you can kind of tell it is.
Yeah, it's like a weird thing with like the contrast or something.
I think,
yeah,
because it's like the effect looks a lot newer in a way, where it's you can tell it's an overlay. instead of something that's baked in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
It's like a weird thing, or even like the dithering. Like I
Yeah.
wonder if it's like another like a compression thing too.
Yeah.
That if you're shooting in
It
like
probably is.
yeah, because if you're shooting at a higher quality, then by like the actual like sort of pixel blocks
Yeah.
is going to be defined by default.
Yeah.
And unless you, even if you like do like a 720 pass on like 4K footage or whatever to
Yeah.
try and fake it,
Yeah.
it'd probably still come out looking too clear.
Yeah.
Because all that
It
information.
still looks too clean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I got just like years ago, I just got like a 8mm video, I think it was,
Uh-huh.
camera, just a little handy cam, and
Yeah.
I was just like, it was for like the summer. I was like just me and my buddies as we were going around different places to bring it along and record
Yeah.
us and doing that, and then watching the playback of it just like a couple years ago because
Yeah.
I forgot about the camera,
Yeah.
and it was just so weird how it looks that
Yeah.
it's like it'd be interesting to just try to do a whole movie. With that like
It will be
shitty
fun.
camera,
It
yeah,
really will be fun.
not so much like a Blair Witch or
Yeah.
like what was that J.J. Abrams movie Cloverfield.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like not
Yeah.
so much like that kind of like found footage,
Yeah.
but still like telling a story.
But it does challenge you, like,
Yeah.
to approach it differently, because
Yeah.
you have that limit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see too, especially that like the way you look at like people's faces. It's like so easy to get like washed out
Yeah.
because you don't have a lot of control. There's a lot of weird like auto stuff it's
Yeah.
doing like based on like it's also video. Is it even
Yeah.
a sensor? Like how does it actually get onto so like with film I get it,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
Because it's like you're essentially burning an image
Yeah.
onto like a piece of
Yeah.
material and you project it onto paper and
Yeah.
that's how the image comes out. But video it's just tape.
Yeah.
Like it's just a
Yeah. I don't know how it works either. But
yeah, like I don't like, and that's the thing too is that like a lot of like modern like photography is still based on like 85mm
Yeah.
or not, sorry, 85. It's based on 35mm like film, like
Yeah.
photography film.
Yeah.
And so is video, but
Yeah.
like video isn't like I think that's why it's so hard to replicate is because tape is like so different from proper digital that there's just no way of doing it.
Yeah.
I think it's like trying to get that film look. It's just you can't.
I think that will be the next thing for them.
Right.
After perfecting film look, will be perfecting tape look.
I think so in
Yeah.
a way. It feels like, not that I can name anything recent off the top of my head, but for sure, even just like in an online sphere,
Yeah.
that's sort of handy cam.
Because people are
90s.
getting started to do like, oh,
Right.
early 2000 looks. Well,
Yeah,
it looks
mhm.
retro, even though the true retro will be filmed. But they're like, oh, that's so far away from us.
Yeah, it's like too
Yeah,
far
yeah.
removed now. Yeah. It's
So that's really funny.
it's weird to think. Yeah, just the
Yeah.
stuff as like as a kid is like coming back into fashion. Like I forget what it was I saw the other day, but it was something from like the early 2000s.
Well,
so it was-
Beyblade.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Just that Beyblades are coming back. I just
yeah.
forgot about
Beyblades
it.
always come back every 20 years or something.
every,
Yeah.
it's like a cycle of life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's like that predator prey
Yeah,
kind of cycle
yeah.
as like Pokemon dies
No,
out.
I'm pretty
the
sure.
Beyblade
I'm pretty sure
comes
it's a
in.
Japanese thing where they're trying to cycle all the toys they have, so they
Mm.
can always have something that's hot, but not new, so they don't have to fix it.
Right,
Yeah.
and then the parents have an attachment to it because
Yes.
it's from their
Yeah,
childhood.
exactly.
Yeah, it's like Transformers. Honestly, when you think
Yeah.
about it.
I don't know. I'm never that into Transformers. I don't know why. Yeah, I think it's
new
because I
movie's
didn't
good.
grow up watching the animation.
Mm.
So for me, there isn't really because I know a lot of people they didn't even watch. They just watched the animation growing up, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And that's why when the actual movie came out, they're like, "Oh my god, this is awesome!" Right? It's kind of like us with Spider-Man,
Sure.
where like the Sam Raimi one was just like the best because you grew up with it, and then you saw Amazing Spider-Man. The first one, you're like, "Oh, I guess it's okay," and the second one, you're like, "What the fuck just happened?" You know? It's like that. Yeah.
I can agree to that. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was for sure. Before the Michael Bay movies, I
Yeah.
saw some of. I don't think it was the '80s Transformer, but it was a 2D animation one. Because I'm just trying to. Oh man, this is like revealing my power level.
Yeah.
I know too much about like Transformers because
Yeah.
it wasn't Beast Wars either, but it was some 2D Transformers thing.
Yeah.
So I watched that, and then I was like, "Holy shit, the Michael Bay movies!
Yeah.
This is crazy." So. That wouldn't
Exactly.
surprise me too much.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's so weird though. I kind of like. I was only ever really into it like as a kid though.
Yeah.
Like that and like Power Rangers. Like Power
Yeah.
Rangers and Transformers
You see,
were from that
that's
part.
the thing. I'm not even into Power Ranger.
Okay.
But I will give you a reason why.
Mm.
Because where I'm from Taiwan, so we're very close to Japan. So actually, Power Ranger is like, I mean, I won't say the wackiest one, but because Japan have the whole industry going on.
Yeah.
So Power Ranger is one version of it, right?
Yeah.
It's only one version, and every year they come up with a new version of a totally different story, totally different set of clothing, different set of way of power. So every year there's a new one. So those are the one I chase, and I also don't really do Power Ranger. I do Kamen Rider.
Yeah, which was what came first. Yeah.
So there are two party, like basically in the Japanese world there are two party. One is with the Kamen Rider. One is with
Super Sentai, which
with,
is what Power Rangers is based off.
Super Sentai, exactly. So they're kind of against each other, where you either go Kamen Rider or you go Super Sentai. But I'm with the Kamen Rider.
I gotta say too, I'm with Kamen Rider.
Because Kamen Rider it's more independent. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause Super Sentai, they always have to travel in groups.
Yes. Yeah.
But Kamen Rider is always very individual. It's always about me. I'm gonna save the world, and then someone's gonna help me do it. It's more heroic, and then it's cooler. I think it's cooler.
It is like Spider-Man versus like X-Men. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kamen Rider is a Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Yeah, X-Men is the
it's
Super
a
Sentai
kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they just got those two different ways of storytelling.
Yeah.
One appeals to one, and then appeals to the other.
And also, I feel like Kamen Rider is cooler because the outfit is cooler. They have
way cooler.
They have a cooler weapon.
Yeah, they got the
belts.
Dude, even like the straight up just like original
Yeah.
like Kamen Rider.
Yeah.
I love like its weird like beetle bug design,
exactly.
and it's just like a motorcycle like racing outfit that they just like
it's
attach stuff to.
It's very random.
Yeah, I love it. I love
that. They came a long way after that.
I mean, I love watching that original '70s series too because I'm looking at that like, fuck, man, I can make that.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
True,
like,
true,
it's so kind of like shot in like a positive way.
It's very campy in a way.
Yeah.
It's very cute because it's so obvious where they did the cut. It's like you can tell when is the stunt person, when is the actual guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so obvious, but that's the charm of it. Because if it's so well made, if it's as well made as today, you just watch today. There's no point in watching that.
My favorite camera trick that I see them do is that they'll have the guys on like a stool that's like out of frame, and then they'll like jump, like it'll be like a low head, so they'll jump and it makes it look like they're going really far, and then it cuts, and then they just like fall to the ground, so it looks like they fell really far, but you're like, nah, that was like,
or it will be like a
2 feet.
ceiling thing, and they'll jump off the ceiling, and then and they'll go up and then go down, and then you'll see a landing post.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, whoa.
Yeah, they do like a flip or something. Yeah.
Flip it on the sky, and then you, boom. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But Kamen Rider is watch a lot, and anime. Yeah, I used to watch a lot of anime. I still watch it here and there, but I don't know. Movie is just North American movies, and I used to be a big fan of DC Comics. But the movie cinematic universe is kind of a mess. Yeah. I'm still pro DC compared to Marvel.
Well, especially after Black Adam, the whole hierarchy of the DC universe changed.
Yeah, it's pretty shit. wow. Yeah, right.
Oh, man, this is good timing, too, because I mentioned last week on the podcast about Joker 2.
Yeah. I haven't watched it.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
I mentioned last week though that there were some mixed reviews.
Yeah. Oh, is it mixed? I heard it bomb.
No, well that's what I mean. Like this, this is what I'm coming back to, and being like, holy crap! Like I can't believe like I was so like kind of wrong about that I was saying it's mixed. So this is a redaction that I'm doing on my part. I'm gonna watch it next week. If you liked my review of Megapolis, stay tuned.
I haven't watched Megapolis. I was gonna watch it, but there's no theater screening it anymore. I'm like, that's insane.
I'm kind of glad I did watch it then when I had a chance.
Like,
if it's
fast.
Not, probably deserving. Like honestly,
I've heard it's more like a manifesto over anything else.
Oh, manifesto is probably a good way to describe it. I like that. That's a good word. I think. Yeah, for sure.
Like it just his manifesto. It isn't really much of a film.
And it's because it's very. Oh my god! Like.
And they said the CGI wasn't the best.
No, CGI. Sorry, because I just yelled. But no, the CGI wasn't at all good. Like not even passable for like 2024.
It cost him half a wine business. So.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
I was saying like I think the thing we need to do is get a bottle of wine, get into a theater, drink it, and watch it just to taunt him, just to let him know who's the boss,
Man, that might be a good way to. That might actually be a good way to watch the movie. If it's playing somewhere, just buy a bottle of wine. Split it across a couple.
It's like, what am I watching? Why is this? Yeah, but I will have to watch it. My friend was like asking me. I was like, oh, I'm gonna probably go watch Megalopolis, and then he's like, with your date? I'm like, no, man. I'm going to suffer alone. Like, what are you talking about? That's a horrible film to bring a date to.
Oh, I was saying that, too, in the theaters. Like, as, like, the movie was wrapping up, I was, like, just thinking about it. I was like, this would be a horrible movie to bring like a
anyone.
girl too. Yeah, like I would imagine. Like you would have to like not talk to the person afterwards, like, or else it'd be such a trauma bonding experience, like one of the two.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
It's that bad, eh? I still want to watch it just because I want to experience his vision.
I do think it was probably best enjoyed in the theater, honestly, because at
Really?
least it had the cinema sound and it was a projection.
Did
and
you
it
have
was the way he wanted to watch it.
Did you have the live element?
There was no actor, but it was really weird too. Because one of the guys I saw it with, he was saying that at like the film festival it was shown at,
there will be someone come in and then
and that it was also like totally full screen. Like it was Adam Driver was the whole screen.
Yeah, and then just talking to
Yeah, but then the version that we had, it was just like a pre-recorded, and then it cropped down. It wasn't the full like theater. It was like just like it was cropped down to be like a little tiny part, almost like you're watching it like on a TV.
Yeah.
And instead, which kind of works with the rest of the movie's kind of weird framing it was doing.
Yeah.
But all that weird framing was also that like a circle it was using to highlight characters. This was a square, so it doesn't really work because it's just in the bottom.
It didn't even. I mean, for North America, it makes sense because I mean he's American, so it makes sense. But imagine watching that in Korea. You know what I mean? Like, what are they gonna do there if there's a live element?
I guess so.
Is the guy gonna come out and then speak Korean, or is the guy gonna come out speak English?
Yeah.
And then what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I guess because this is a legit question. But do they watch more dubbed movies or watch more sub movies?
So most of the world watch sub. They don't watch dub.
Okay.
So it's all subtitles. So how's it gonna work? Is it just gonna be the guy speaking?
I like the idea of the actor like in the theater speaking in his native tongue, but then it's Adam Driver just speaking English. With the subtitles translated. That'd be kind of funny.
That's the only way to work. Otherwise, how are you gonna tailor to the locals?
Yeah, well, I don't think Coppola was thinking about. I don't think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but the whole movie, I don't think he was thinking.
It's a typical American thing. I mean, America is the whole world, so.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares?
No, but I have to give him respect because he made Godfather, so I have to go watch it,
Yeah, it got like, you know what the thing is too, is like you watch like a movie, and especially now, and there's so much production credits.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, there's like the studio that like pushed it out, like so Warner Brothers, Disney, whatever. Then there's the actual company that made it, so like a Searchlight or like an A24. A24 is a
and now usually it's co-production, so there'll be like 4 different production
because depending on like the CGI that was used, was there a post like a post department, was there a sound? Yeah. But with like the Megalopolis, there was one credit.
It's just him?
It was his production company credit. What America One Films
insane.
or whatever the hell it was. Yeah, it was kind of funny because it was the one credit. It wasn't even like a fancy like intro or anything. It was like boom, studio credit.
He just spent all the money he had then.
Yes,
That's
it was like
insane.
there was no other like company thing. Like,
I mean, good for him, but also what the fuck?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy when I was like thinking about it too. So that also like, and then it does have a really good like hook with like Adam Driver at the beginning, like stopping time.
Yeah.
But the problem with the rest of the movie is that it's never fucking brought up again ever. So why does it?
Anyways, it's just a random thing that happened.
It's like a thing to use to like have a reason for the two characters to like be like love interest with each other.
It's just a gimmick at the beginning, and then they killed it.
And that's what happens throughout the whole movie. It's just they have these weird gimmicks that don't have any real payoff. There's like that thing of like I was talking to one of my other friends today at school. There's the thing of Adam Driver holding the ruler in the poster.
Yeah.
That is a literal shot in the movie that comes on screen for 2 seconds and that thing is never ever.
At least they showed it.
True. That's true. I'm like, actually, like, I can't believe that's the credit.
They actually show it.
Yeah, like, I can't believe that's the credit I have to give to the movie is that, like, wow, this scene that your poster is based off of it is actually in the movie.
I haven't seen Godfather 3, so I have high expectation of him, okay?
That's fair. Yeah, you saw 1, 2, and
yeah.
I've only ever seen the first Godfather.
And
I
the
never
thing
saw
is,
two.
the second one, there were so many Italians in that one, and then my friend and I were watching this pirated version, so there's no subtitle. So I wasn't understand shit. It was just like, half of it was in Italian.
Yeah, the actual like, proper, like...
I was like, what's happening? I don't know what the fuck. I see people walking around. I don't know what's going on.
Yes. I kind of like that, though. It's kind of funny. You're just like... Yeah, you just
like, they were like, have you seen Godfather 2? I'm like, yeah, do you remember? Nope.
No, I don't remember.
Do you remember the part?
About.
Nope, not at all. I don't remember shit. Like, I remember the first one. Yeah.
That's it.
First one was very shocking, but,
Yeah. I think that's a good point to end on the podcast there.
Very nice.
That was a good discussion. Thank you, Thomson.
Yep.
For coming on and being a guest on the Second Year Run podcast. I want to thank you again for coming on, and I want to thank the listener for listening in to another episode of our program. We really appreciate it, and we hope you have a good rest of the day, wherever that may be.
Yep. See ya.